if you ran into Andy Isolano in his work now as a fire inspector for the Clovis Fire Department, maybe you'd hear a hint of a New York accent as he spoke to you, but you'd probably have no idea what he went through on September 11th, 2001.
It's always an honor for me to be here to represent what being a firefighter is. And I'm always touched by the emotion I get back from people like yourselves and how much you appreciate what firefighters do on a daily basis. If you were to hear the whole day's worth of that dispatch, you would hear that we never stopped coming. What happened almost became inevitable at one point, and we still continued up the stairs. Even when the first tower came down, you will see some documentaries out there if you get a chance. You'll see that didn't stop us from continuing on up the second tower. It's what we do. For me, that morning, I had worked the night before. I worked a 24-hour shift, and I was in the shower getting ready to go home. They came upstairs and they said, "Hey, Andy, Tower Trade Center just had a plane hit the tower." We're watching from the roof, and we thought to ourselves, "Oh my goodness, that fire is going to burn for days." There were floors and floors of fire. We could see it. We're going to be fighting this for days. And then what's going to happen to that building after that? Unfortunately, that turned out to be best case scenario. As we watched the second plane come in disbelief, we watched this gray United Airlines plane as it banked and hit the second tower. We knew right there that it wasn't an accident, it wasn't misfortune, it was intended to cause harm. We ran downstairs to listen to the radio and try to figure out what was happening at this moment. And we received a phone call. The guys that had gone in called and told us that Danny was dead. He had gotten hit by someone who had jumped out a window, someone who decided that a 100-floor fall was a better option. I can't imagine what conditions had to be like to prompt someone to make that decision. And it didn't happen once, it happened over and over again. They say over 100 people jumped to their death that day. Danny was killed instantly when he got hit by a jumper, and while our pastor, Father Judge, was administering last rites to Danny, he was hit in the identical spot and also killed instantly. The 12 of us that had gotten off that morning now knew we had to go in and help. We took a spare fire truck. We dumped our entire medical locker in the hose bed, and we headed into Manhattan. As we crossed the Brooklyn Bridge, we heard the Mayday calls. Mayday, Mayday, Tower 2's coming down. And our imagination was, oh my God, the whole top of that building just fell off. Never conceiving that Tower 2 did come down. We pulled up to this end of the world looking thing you see on TV, grayness and papers floating everywhere, and a virtual silence in Manhattan. As we got off the rig, they called Mayday again, and Tower 1 came down. 13 of my close friends were gone, 343 fellow firefighters, and close to 3,000 civilians were gone just that quick. Men and women that kissed their children, hugged their wives and husbands, and left for work on a normal sunny day. I spent the next 2 months searching, hoping. It went from hopefully a rescue to the realization that this was now a recovery effort, and then to the dreaded fear that we were not going to find some of these people, and we didn't. On November 12th, while I was continuing to search, still in the hopes that we were going to at least bring some bodies home, A chief grabbed a hold of me. He watched as I was coughing and coughing up blood, and as it turned out, he recorded my badge number and told me if I didn't leave and go to the medical office, I would lose my job, because I really did not want to leave. There were a lot of brothers still down there. So I left November 12th. Still with many friends missing, and was told I probably would never be a firefighter again. That day produced many miracles. Those buildings have the capability of holding up to 50,000 people at any given time. We estimated that we saved approximately 14,000 people, which means that maybe there was less than 18 or 19,000 people actually in the building when it could have been 50. The time that those towers stood was perfectly orchestrated by the powers that be. Because if those buildings would have stood up another hour or two, there would have been hundreds upon hundreds of firefighters, police officers, clergy, doctors, nurses, volunteers on every single floor below those fires in those buildings. Those towers could not have come down at a better time. They also came down within themselves. If anybody has ever been or seen what Lower Manhattan looks like, you can hardly get your cars through the street, much less 200 floors of building. Had they fallen to the sides, it would have been hundreds upon hundreds of thousands of people killed. So no one can tell me that miracles didn't happen that day. We lost, I think, as minimal amount of people as we could, especially since the people that orchestrated this intended to kill as many people as they could. I don't know why I'm here. You know, guys I ate dinner with the night before are gone, and I'm here. And when people ask me, are you okay talking about it? And I feel like maybe that's why I'm here. If I can instill in people that life is way too short to take anything serious enough to get angry at somebody. Tomorrow may not come. For people in this room, it may not come. And if it doesn't, you need to have no regrets. God's got a plan. He's got a plan for me. I'm convinced of that. What it is, I don't know. Maybe it's this. But I told this to a bunch of kids at a Fresno State engagement I spoke at. I said, when you guys go home and that guy cuts you off on the way home, I want you to wave to him with all 5 fingers and continue on. And I hope that the message gets out. Life is way too short to get upset about things. There's so many things we let pressure us financially. Who's speaking about this one? Facebook. Did you see what she said about me on Facebook? You know, life's too short. Enjoy your lunch. I thank you very much for having me here, and God bless everyone.